Yeah, hi. Is this Middlebrow?
What's up, everyone? You're listening to the Middlebrow podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Brian Park.
I'm Dan Rosen.
And if you're watching on YouTube...
Which you should be.
Especially
for this one.
Yeah. We're an emporium of sorts.
Yeah, we're in the room of requirements from Harry Potter. Endless tchotchkes and fascinations.
Which we'll get into with our wonderful guest this week. But it's been a while since we've recorded, Dan. This is our first post-LA IRL recording.
That's very true.
Yeah. I like this.
You prefer to be back in New York?
Yeah.
We've kept the spirit of LA where we were just like scrambling to put together a set in random like homes and studios.
Yeah, and I feel safe in New York because, listeners, as you know, Dan is the one responsible for the Middlebrow social media clips, and you've made me an enemy of Los Angeles.
That's true.
There's so many people in LA in my DMs telling me to fuck off.
Oh, in the DMs?
Yes, dude.
Oh, I thought just the comments. I didn't realize. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just because I said in jest that it was a spiritually bankrupt city.
Yeah, which is true. Would you not agree? Or yes, you can. The LA.
I don't want LA after me.
Oh, okay. I won't clip it. I won't clip it.
Keep putting in Brian's DMs.
Yeah.
I'm out of this.
Yeah, keep shitting on Brian. Well, I also got the entire nation of Greece angry at George.
Yeah.
I just, I've learned from the Anna Delvey school of media that there's no such thing as bad press. And I think it's easier to make yourself an object of hate.
You've succeeded,
clavicular?
though.
Why is he so... Yeah, I'm trying to make you into clavicular.
You're trying to turn me into the man who yelled the N-word.
Yes.
With Tourette's.
Yeah, exactly.
At the BAFTA Awards.
Yeah, and no one knew who he was before. People know who he is now.
Okay. But let's introduce our guest.
Yes.
I wanna jump right into this because I have so many questions. So, listeners, I asked our guest how he'd like to be introduced. He said Chief Magic Maker.
Yeah. Cringe. It's a deeply
I knew you were gonna.
You know it's cringe.
I wanted you to say it. It wasn't cringe like 6 years ago,
Okay.
but it's a little cringe now.
Now it's like...
So our guest is a stager, which I've learned.
Yeah, but that's... You feel like that's probably beneath you. That's why you don't like stager.
I don't think anything's beneath me.
Our guest recently had a profile in the New Yorker, and I asked...
Jason Saft.
Jason Saft, yes. And...
October 26th. My name's on the flap,
Yeah.
I'm a flapper.
Social security number, PIN number.
09.
He's like a Michael Clayton for homes.
Yes, you're the fixer.
You're the guy that
You're the
brokers
guy-
call.
I am the fixer. That's the doctor, the magician. That's
call
the
him-
chief magic maker.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be CEO. I don't have like CEO energy.
Because you're wearing a hoodie. You're like Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not really a CEO because I wear a hoodie. I'm cool.
This is why Jason didn't want to shit on LA.
Yeah, he's political.
I'm chill.
You
We're
make
on
the
same
magic
level.
happen.
I do. Like Mr. Zuckerberg.
Much like Mr. Zuckerberg. Who maybe you staged a home that he's sold for. But you...
I couldn't get through the retina scan. I have a record.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not letting
tough.
me in. Yeah, we're not aligned.
Yeah, so I guess people, realtors call you when they have just like a unsellable home, and then you come in.
And even realtors without the OR and a trademark at the end, there is a distinction.
What is the distinction?
Well, there's the Realtor,
okay.
which is like a trademarked brand, and then there's a Realtor.
I have no
I
idea.
had no idea about this.
What is the difference?
I think it's a trademark. I think it's a like
How douchey you want to be?
I think it's like $125 fee for an application to become a realtor is the difference
To go from an
between
E to an O?
Yeah, I
Wow.
think that's basically it. I could tell you the difference between a co-op and a condo, but I can't tell you the difference between a realtor and a realtor. But I do remember your friend Sofia Vergara on Modern Family had said there's a very famous line. He's a realtor. There's a difference. I don't know what it is, but there's one.
Yes.
Was that good?
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Sofia
amazing.
Vergara.
We'll clip that.
I guess it's so you can signal to other realtors that you have $125.
Yes.
You can splurge.
Yeah. You got to walk the walk. If you're a
It's how-
realtor, you have a skinny suit
It's
with
for the
like
business
with
card.
a two-tone Rolex.
Yeah. You want to have stolen valor.
And you ride in the back of an Escalade,
Yes.
closing deals.
Yeah.
So Ryan Serhant is a realtor.
Yeah.
I don't know what he is. I would imagine
He's a real douche.
He's also
everything.
a chief magic maker.
He's a chief of something. Yeah.
He's in the closet. No.
He's not. We're not accepting new members at the moment. He's good. I think he's just a fun guy.
He's very fun.
He's like like flamboyant.
He's
flamboyantly
yes.
fun.
Very tight.
Yes.
Queer eye pants. It's
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not gonna say no to that. If anyone with a hot body
have you done homes
wants
for
to.
Ryan Serhant?
I have done many homes for people on his team, but I have not for him. But I did. It's funny. I don't watch. I'm not into reality TV, but there's like 10 different people sent me a clip. The episode of his show. There's a thing where they talk about how they had this project at the Plaza Hotel. They called like 12 different stagers, and they had no budget. And they tried to say, like, we'll give you exposure. And they said, but nobody wanted to work for free. And I was one of those people that they tried to pay an exposure.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's frequently how things work in this business.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
But yeah, I think in any business, I would think for you guys.
I'm sure Brian and I
yeah.
get pitched a lot.
For exposure?
For exposure.
Exposure.
Yeah.
And it's like no, I actually have to pay rent.
Yes, I can't pay my employees' health insurance contribution with exposure.
No, Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't take exposure.
Pay them in a boucle sofa.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know what you did was a real job.
Me neither. I still don't, to be honest. I mean, I have to tell it's funny that you say that because for years, this was a hobby. This was like something I was doing for fun, late at night, on the weekends. I was fixing up properties. And I remember I would always say, often in a drunken and a very high stupor back in the day, before I got sober, I used to say, like, God, if there was just a way I could figure out how to turn, like, decorating little corners and moving people stuff around and telling them, like, this doesn't look good into an actual career, I'd be fulfilled. And here we are.
Yeah. So you kind of are a little bit of a fascist. Like you like things your way in a specific way.
I mean, not a little bit. Like a lot of it.
A lot of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you said you don't want to decorate you don't want to be a designer.
I'm not interested in designing. We get a lot of requests to do it, but it's like we're going in and we're often doing let's just say a 4-bedroom house, we can be done in 2 to 3 days with like very high details. Now we're not doing any construction. We're not building anything. But we may be painting, removing wallpaper, and then furnishing every little detail so that it looks editorial, not like it's funny for someone at a staging company to say this, like, we don't want it to look staged. Like, I really try and move away from that, like, really generic sort of like the homepage of Wayfair, unless, of course, they want to sponsor me for something, then I'd love to turn it into the homepage of Wayfair.
Like, what are the staples of the like very traditional stage home? Like a white curved boucle sofa.
I mean, we have them.
Okay.
Like, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna shit on white boucle, but it just we go into the space and we figure each one out, and like the work is meant to be contextual. Like we're prepping something at 1040 Fifth Avenue, and like there's a lot of very traditional elements. At the same time, we're doing probably, I think, one of the most challenging projects of the type of things I stay away from. A super futuristic, just off of Billionaires Row, but still like 57th Street, which is like kind of the stuff that I don't really get into or have the interest for. But what made this project really interesting is they have not been able to sell this apartment for 7.5 years. And that's like an aphrodisiac for me. Like I love a problem. And that's how a lot of this started, was just fixing problems.
Yeah.
And so a big part of our work is we're often hired to reposition places that have just been sitting and people can't figure out.
So, for instance, this property that's been sitting for 7.5 years, like, how does that, why?
It's always like, there's 3 things. It's pricing, presentation, and representation. But then when you really start to get into it, I never know like what the other agents were doing on it. But, I look at the pictures and I can sort of see like this one in particular, it's on Central Park. It's facing Central Park. It's on Central Park South. It has an incredible full frontal view, but when you look at the photos of the apartment, the way that they configured this living room that's, twice the size of what we're sitting in, not a single thing looks at or takes advantage of the view. And it's very awkwardly and oddly laid out. It would be the most amazing apartment if someone were to shoot like a James Bond movie set in New York and they needed a villain's lair. Like it's absolutely perfect for that. But for whatever reason, it's been sitting for years. And so we're going to reapproach it and sort of, I go in and I just try and figure out from looking at what was there, what we need to turn it into. And it's like it's honestly very much like method acting. Like you get very deep into the space and who the people are, and then really trying to create something that speaks to like a very specific audience.
So you're like, you try to get into the mind of like, what would a tech billionaire whose app causes teenage girls to kill themselves?
Totally.
What is he looking
Like
for?
where will he push, which window will he push them out of?
Yeah. What is?
I mean, I've curtailed the way I speak now that I have, 14 employees, but that is how I think. Like I look at these as almost like little movies, right? And so you do get caught up in this minutia, because what did happen over that 20 years of being a real estate agent, but not a realtor, people were always telling me these things. You would walk someone through and they say, get me the fuck out of here. This is awful because, this doesn't work because. And you just start fixing it. In the very early days, I was doing it to not deal with my own problems. It was like, great, I'll go fix this apartment. Then I don't have to deal with anything in my own life. And then it's sort of like, change from there.
Yeah. You're literally a fixer. So for our listeners, Jason's warehouse is massive.
This is insane. The place that we're in, that you can just, if you're on YouTube, you just see one corner. But how big?
Many
It's
things
24,000 square feet. And I sort of like to be like, I, as a kid, loved Pee-wee's Playhouse. And while we don't have as much like fun stuff as in the Playhouse, that is sort of like...
It's a lot more Bortoria chairs.
Yeah, like... It's like my tchotchkeria. It's actually, if you've seen the Paul Rubens documentary, it's more like that version of it. And so it's just a fun space where all these collections and pieces have come together.
Are there any pieces in here that just have a universal magic to it, where through your experience, you're like, this could just work anywhere, any place? This, if I put this here, slam dunk, they're gonna like it, it's gonna work.
I mean, I think a lot of this stuff it's all about context, right? And it's never one thing. It's like, but does the lamp work? Does the art work? Do the books work? And that's something like, when I was just doing this on my own, I spent a lot of time thinking about that. Like I would look at every single book I was pulling and like, would this person read this? Does this book belong here? And now having a team, like there's times I walk through a property and I pull a book out. I'm like, this Kaws book does not belong here. I know you're gonna. You're like, Dan's shaking already. I'm triggering.
There are a bunch of Kaws.
I'm triggering you.
That's for when you want to sell Jake Paul a home.
I did say before we started that I was starting to like put things away based off of what I know about you guys, verbalizing them every week. Because I am a super fan.
There's no judgment.
But then I was sort of like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I like them. Like I wouldn't put them in my own home, but sometimes when we're doing them, and I think that's the thing that I've learned as I've gotten older is it stopped being about. I try and teach this with my team. Like there's stuff I don't like that I'm not interested in, but that doesn't make it bad. It doesn't mean that it's awful. Like there is someone for everything, and a lot of the work is like I do think about people with different tastes, as opposed to just saying like, here's what I like, I have a superior eye, you have to like what I like. I sort of really try and create with people like within reason. Like I
is there a style that you wouldn't
well, it's funny, the Central Park project, the artwork and style of it that I looked at, everything looked like it came from that what's that art gallery like on Lincoln Road?
Okay. Yeah,
like Brito or...
Yes, exactly.
Everything is like that. And that is a style I'm not really interested
Alec
in.
Monopoly.
Yeah, like it doesn't really,
like Crypto Miami.
Yeah.
That's where the money is, baby.
I know. It's like I have to buy everything, right? And so I'm like, would I spend my money on that? And the answer is no. And so it is funny, one of the reasons why when people reach out and they're like, oh, we have this project at, 432 Park Avenue, I'm like, here's 2 other companies to talk with. Like, I'd much rather go into a dilapidated brownstone somewhere in Brooklyn or something just like fun that I can sink my teeth into.
Yeah. How many objects do you have?
Oh my God. We can't even count anymore. But I mean, there's a few 100,000 pieces of inventory, and then you're seeing everything that's here, but we have, I think, 47 active projects out right now.
So when you first started, were you just collecting items based on your personal taste then?
Yeah,
it sounds like this is just a shopping addiction just
Basically.
spun out of control.
Yeah,
I mean,
you just justified. You found a way to justify your shopping addiction.
So when I was saying earlier how I was like, how do I figure out a way to make a living out of telling people this needs to be relocated over here? It was also like, how do I just figure out a way to shop professionally? There is complete truth to that. So the way it started is I was a real estate agent and I was just buying anything I could or something a lot of it was more found stuff. Like, 20 years ago, if something was on the street, I would take it and fix it up and put it in a project. And I was just buying little things and then I was photographing my listings. And I was creating these moments in these tiny little inexpensive starter apartments. And it was for me, that's how there were a lot of things I enjoyed about that, but there were a lot of things I did not enjoy. And I didn't want to go to work. I didn't wake up excited. But this part of it and decorating and making these little moments and fixing up a busted apartment, that was really exciting to me. And so I just kept sort of going with it. And, it's funny, I look at stuff. I recently did a project in a building that Nate Berkus designed. And all the units sold. They'd released the penthouse later on. And they had gone to Nate and asked him to make another model. The person who bought the model apartment bought everything in it. And so he wasn't able to do it. And so I got to do the project for Nate. And what was really interesting when we talked is he was explaining how connected he was to the building, how his team had been on it for years, and just it was a little tough for him to let someone else take it on. And so I was telling him the building is 4 doors down from where I got my start 20 years ago.
Whoa.
And it was this little tiny rental building with these 200 square foot apartments. The developer was having trouble renting one. I fixed one up, and that's where this whole thing started. And you could see that building from the bathroom and the bedroom windows of that. And so
You've come so far.
I know. Well, but it was also, I know, I'm
I was young
where's
once.
the music playing? No, what was really interesting for me is I went through some of the old images from 15 and 20 years ago. And it is nice to look back and say wow, 20 years ago, it was I could afford the broken geode at Home Goods for $2. That's a headboard I found on the street. Those are actually my pillowcases from my apartment. And then it's 20 years later, I'm going back. I have a team. I know more about design. I understand how to approach things. And that, for me, has been the fun part. Really learning about these different aesthetics and eras and periods and trying to work them into something really interesting. I mean, it's funny. I know you guys are tight with David Michon, and he wrote that piece about this obsession with, real estate listings. And I truly believe, and so do a lot of a lot of the sort of banality within home has come from the staging and Zillofication of what people are looking at. When you think about it, it's been 15 years now of looking at listings online, which didn't exist before. Some of them are virtual renderings, so it's just just white, right? With
it's narrowed the imagination.
There's an infinity loop on the coffee table next to a Tom Ford book, and there's the sort of black stripe over the sofa. And I think, so people are looking at that, they're buying it. Then stores and designers they're fashioning what they're making based off of what. And then I think it's really created this just bland cycle of nothingness. And so within my work, I've tried to really move away from that and show people, especially with staging, where staging is sort of a dirty word within the design community. Everyone, really looks down on it. And that's something I've been sort of fighting and dealing with, to show them we are approaching this very differently.
Well, the similar thing that's happening in staging in apartments is happening in
everything.
In everything. If you look at car
in the entire galaxy.
If you look at car design, if you look at the color of homes, I was seeing a thing that everything is narrowed to this very small band of acceptable colors, blues, grays, greens, and we used to be just inundated with way more color and risk, but now there's, I guess it's all about resale, and that's probably the same thing that's happening on Zillow. Everyone wants to be safe, just right down the middle, take no risks, but then our entire visual environment is just polluted with the average.
I do think that like there are so many people who are moving away from that, but then I think the other danger is like as more and more people are taking risks and more people are doing bold design, but then you also have this growing like AI slop like thing, right? Where it's just going to like, if it's pulling data sets or whatever and fashioning everything, it's going to start to pull all of that. And I think, look, that's the struggle in anything, right? Like whether it's politics, design, music, cinema, it's like there's two sides. There's like no escaping it. We're just got to keep fighting. We're fighting the good fight. We are modern warriors here, staging these apartments.
You're a hero.
I'm where I've got a purple heart. Hold on, let me get the purple heart.
Selling Peter Thiel his eighth bunker.
Oh my God, have you ever read his like dietary restrictions? You should
Thiel?
look that up. Oh yeah, Peter Thiel's like his.
What are his dietary restrictions?
It's like there's no fruit, no grain, but it gets very serious into very specific amounts of like protein and things like that. Oh yeah,
it shows.
And he looks horrible. He looks like he has scurvy, so it makes sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting guy. And we claim him as our own, which is like terrifying.
You mean as the gays?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're trying to get rid of him.
There's a good storied history of gay fascists, though. I think
Sam
there's
Altman?
a good.
Share with us. Educate us on the. Now that you guys have seen Heated Rivalry.
Yeah.
It's definitely shifted who's on the podcast. I know that you guys are really embracing like. I'm noticing a change since since you watched Heated Rivalry.
I think that we're a podcast in the arts. It's
going to skew to a certain
demographic. Yeah, Heated Rivalry has infected us.
I didn't care for it. I'm like, which I've learned not to talk about. Amongst other gay men.
I as a straight have no.
You can speak freely here. This is a safe space.
I think my opinion is suspect, but I also thought it was quite banal.
Yeah, I mean, I did stop and pleasure myself once or twice,
Yeah, me
but
too.
like of course. But I was like, where's this dialogue?
It's among the worst written. Although it is rivaled by Love Story, which I'm now watching, which also has among the worst dialogue.
That's tough.
I don't know what that is, but
that's the John F. Kennedy Jr.
Oh, right.
That's
Okay.
it, yeah.
I will say that the what I thought of while watching Heated Rivalry was like being a kid and with my boombox and like fast forwarding and rewinding on the tape cassette is what I felt like was like the cinematography of that show. It was just like,
Yeah.
okay, like 6 months later, 6 months later.
There's no
back.
plot or story, and we talked about it. Just the sexing was just like, I want to fuck you. No, not right now. We have a game.
Which a gay man did not write that. Because if a gay man wrote that, he'd be like, of course it's a game. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know it was not written by a gay man. There is no... A gay man, like, there are very few reasons to not have sex.
Should we have a Patreon episode where Jason provides his rendition
commentary
of
on-
Rivalry?
Great. I think we've got a new podcast here.
You come in, we bring out gay art, and you tell us.
Done. Or maybe we just watch gay porn together.
That's good.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Could maybe do an OnlyFans, start a new revenue stream. Forget
let's
about
go.
Patreon.
Have you ever staged would you stage a porno set?
I recently did this was very funny. So, and the whole scenario makes it even more interesting. So, work for a client who inherited his family home and had a sex swing in the guest bedroom. But the part that I found so odd about it that we talked about was that underneath the sex swing was a sort of older, dainty, like metal bed. It looked like a young kid's room from like the night, like Laura Ashley bedding would have been on it. And I was like, listen, no question about the sex swing, but like the bed underneath it is so unsexy.
I told you not to take the Epstein staging job. You came to me and you're like, beautiful apartment, Fifth Avenue.
Can you
70.
imagine the energy in that
They're
place?
trying to sell it.
There's not enough smudge sticks in the world.
That would be the ultimate.
I couldn't.
Wait, what's going on with that property right now?
I don't know.
I thought
but
sold.
Come on, as someone who
I would never.
You're
no,
the superhero.
I
Don't you want to take on the greatest challenge?
That would be the greatest challenge.
That would be,
I don't
be
want
a coward.
I would do like a cell in Abu Ghraib before the Epstein mansion. The one project.
He's the guy. Everybody like he can do it. He's the guy.
I don't want
The
anything
fixer.
to listen. I'm not on the list. I don't want to be in there. The one that I did want, that I reached out to the agent on, and I never heard back, and I really wanted to push for it, was there are two. I wanted Ivanka Trump's house Ivana Trump. Ivanka has not passed away.
Yeah, had like a pink bathroom and
wild, but it was very like, it was exactly what you'd expect it was. And then I tried so hard to get the person who bought Joan Rivers' apartment put it on the market.
Whoa!
And it is like it needs
some magic.
It needs some magic, a facelift, and like a queen who is just like unrelenting, and I will get this done and figure it out.
Yeah.
Because Joan Rivers is actually the first comedian I ever saw. I think I was 7 years old, and I saw it at the Westbury Music Fair with my mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
You knew you were gay at 7 then. That's when it began.
I knew I was gay when I was 5, and I asked to be Wonder Woman for Halloween, and I fashioned bracelets out of tinfoil.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a little bit earlier than 7, but
precocious.
And don't get me started on the $1 Million Man.
I mean,
these are references even you guys don't get.
I know the.
Do you know the Dukes of Hazzard cousins?
Yeah,
yeah.
$1 Million Man. I think I only know.
What's $1 Million Man?
I only know it because in the 40-Year-Old Virgin he collects. It's like it was a TV show, right?
Yes, and so there were two.
We
it was
can
the $1 Million
rebuild him.
Man.
We have the technology.
And then there was, of course, the camp female version, which was the Bionic Woman. The Bionic Man was like the $1 Million.
Do you have any $1 Million Man action figures?
No, I don't actually. I do have. I have Devo, Blondie, Biggie Smalls, and there's one and Twisted Sister.
Okay.
Whose name? Dee Snider.
Dee Snider, right? With
yes. If you want to play with them, I can take them out.
Please do.
If you want.
Does the shelf of Kaws figures, does it get a lot of action? Do you get a lot of play?
Like, when would you use those? When would you use the Kaws?
So I did. I got to do. It was David LaChapelle's apartment. A couple bought it.
I used to be his intern in college.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Oh.
I met him only one time.
So I did his old apartment in the East Village at 170 Second Avenue, and there's a piece of art that I bought years ago. I can't remember his name, but he loves going to abandoned spaces. He went to like the Wayne Short Hills Mall that was abandoned, and it's this amazing photo. It's just everything's falling down. It looks like Stranger Things, and there's a store called Art World, and it's just everything is just decimated. And so it's a like 40 by 50 print, and on the sides of it I had these two old traditional like gold giltwood sconces, and I put the Kaws on either side. I just felt like they worked there. So yeah.
Okay. And it's sold?
It's not like it's sold in the first showing, but what was really cool is the buyer is working with husband and wife who went to the apartment and was like, this is fantastic. And I love their work.
They're great.
So
Shout out husband and wife.
They were like, this is really cool. So they may have appreciated it. Again, everything like in the right space.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can just turn that way. You won't see them.
So has the influx of foreign money in the real estate market, I mean, let's say China, Saudi Arabia, they're buying a lot of real estate in New York. Has that shifted how you stage homes in the last like decade or so?
I think in a large part, I don't typically do those types of properties, those investments. It's a lot of like that 57th Street and Riverside Drive. And those are the things I really try and shy away from. I mean, I
too easy,
see it.
Or is it like a personal taste thing?
It's just not interesting. It's like, here's this like outrageously expensive apartment. Like it's designed by numbers. I like a challenge. Like a lot of how I built this business was I was the third or fourth agent on a property that no one could sell. And I've always really gravitated towards that. I also just love older projects. It is interesting. Like my work is getting split up between like the fun parts of Brooklyn and a lot of Upper East Side between like Park and Fifth. And that's because typically like this has not touched that world. And there's a lot of people that don't really understand how to like embrace, respect traditional design, but also inject contemporary pieces and modernity into it. And, you know, the thing is you learn in some of those buildings and those spaces, like there are people who love traditional design. Like it's not all bad. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just, some of them are so stodgy and so staid. And again, a lot of the companies that do this work, like it is typically all very generic. And what often happens is you can cheapen a really spectacular property by just putting a bunch of like amorphous white futuristic furniture and something, like there's just a huge disconnect to it. So those are the ones like I really gravitate towards. That's the work I put out there. It's the work I photograph, the work I talk about, the people I try and spend my time getting to know, because I enjoy those projects. And that's, I think, the fun part of like building your own business and trying to figure out like how do you create this business where it is like a part of you. It is what you feel that you were born to do, and like what actually fulfills you while doing the work and keeping the lights on and paying your rent and taking care of your employees. I really try and avoid that stuff.
Is part of what you do kind of a lie? In the sense that like in the sense that like,
Oh my God.
not in a cruel way, but like you create
Oh my
a
God,
world.
this is going to turn into like the negative expose. Like,
No. It's fine. I think it's good. But in a way that like you watch a car commercial and the guy gets like a hot girl.
Totally.
And then you get the car and you're like, well, I don't have a hot girl. So
and
someone
he's actually gay.
yeah, it's actually gay. So then the person buys the home. You take away your staging, and then
It's very funny that you say that. There's one project in particular. This was before the pandemic. It was really interesting. This woman who was like one of the first female power brokers on Wall Street in the 1980s. She worked at Bear Stearns. I have a piece of her stationery I kept somewhere. Incredible art collection.
Who
Had
else
this
worked at Bear
apartment.
Stearns in the
What-
80s?
what?
You know who else worked at Bear Stearns in the 80s? Oh, sorry.
You're going to keep going back there.
No.
You're really trying to like thread that needle. It's not happening. But so I did her apartment. I got to work with her art collection, which was amazing. And it turned out that I was very friendly with the agent who brought the buyer. And she said that after the closing, she went to the apartment, she walked in the door and she cried. She said like she couldn't believe what it really was without the pieces in there. And it's happened a few times, but that again, that's what happens with design. Like you then should work with a designer to create something really compelling. I mean, that's all it really is it's a space that someone thought about. It's a space that, again, like I'm not just buying generic stuff. I'm spending my weekends and evenings and trips sourcing, digging through fields, going to, Brimfield, going to antique stores all over to find things that when someone walks in the door, they're like, I'm in. And so, I
That's
mean,
why
if
you're saying you're a magic maker.
if
Like
you
you
want-
are selling a dream.
Yeah, if you want
someone.
to, if you want to just like boil it down to some horrible thing, sure. Like, I'm an awful, horrible.
No, I think it's good. I think people deserve a dream.
But I do, that was the thing is I want to show people, like when I was a little kid, like this is what I was doing in my room. Like I was reorganizing things. I was decorating. I remember coming home from summer camp when I was like 7 or 8. And I was like, this pantry is driving me nuts. Like I'm going in the pantry, we're going to reorganize it. I would reorganize the garage and set that up. And then when I was 14, I got my first job. Like that was what I carried into it. And so it's just like, that's the way my brain works.
Yeah. Has someone ever come into a home or asked to keep the stuff?
Oh, we sell a ton of pieces. There are some things I'm not parting with yet, but a lot of people will buy. Sometimes it's been the entire apartment and sometimes it's just, a few things that they feel fit and go into it.
Yeah. I know you flattered. You're like, I nailed it.
It feels good. It is funny. The one negative, there's one that has stuck with me. Years ago, I did this really bizarre West Village house and it was like $9 million. They paid cash for it. And they wanted to buy one dresser. And so we gave them a price. It was like $1,200. They bought a $9 million house in cash. So Walker, who runs the show with me, he was there at the house when the guy was like, and Walker referenced the name of the specific name of the piece. And so we'd sent him an invoice and he writes me back and he's like, well, I found the envelope credenza online for, $9.99. And once you bring tax, that comes to like $10.87 and delivery's free. And you're charging me $1,200 for something that's, and I just like, I went all, I explained like, you found it because someone told you the name, but his initial email to us was, it said something like, this looks as if it was made for the room. And I said, the reason that happened is for the last 20 years, I've been obsessively like hunting, sourcing, looking for these things. And I sit and I go through. And the reason that you feel that, it is like built in this room is because someone put in the time and the thought, and that is what you're going to pay $120 for. And like if it makes
this is a $9 million in cash.
Yes,
and
yes, and those are the exact no. And this was before I
the
knew
rich people
this
are
was
the most
actually
annoying.
this was so long ago. It was before I knew the fact that a standard markup is 30%. Now I was like, oh, add like $100 to it, I'll be fine. Whatever. It doesn't even handle the replacement cost. But I told him, I said, if it makes you feel better to try and save $120, like knock your socks off and go get it delivered, motherfucker.
So let's say Dan was like a prospective buyer, and you knew, and you're looking at him right now. What would you?
I know he's not a prospective buyer. I'm looking. No.
This is
wow, that Patreon's really taken off, guys. Congratulations.
This is our legacy cardigan.
Your managers must be thrilled.
What sort of? What would you put? How would you stage the home to woo someone like Dan? What do you think?
Oh, I'd be in that book collection and the art collection. It'd be all fine art, and I'd have to I'd take some risks. There'd be no cause, like cerebral, comfortable, but like not too much. He doesn't want to be spoon-fed.
But like intrinsically, your job, you're never going to go too crazy though, because then you risk alienating people, right?
Exactly.
You're like
once or twice I've looked at them like, oh, I really like when, but it's sold and people love it. But I look at the work and I'm like, oh, I might have like gone a little too overboard on that.
Does the realtor tell you specific people that they're going after, or are they?
We often
how does that work? Like you find we have this apartment on the Upper East Side in the West Village. Are they like, this is the person we're going for, or you imagine?
So, I mean, I was a real estate agent for 20 years, so it's not really imagining. It's like I understand who the demographic is. I often will sit in a lobby, watch people, I'll talk with them. Where it is really helpful is an apartment that's been on the market for a long period of time. They have all the data, right? So I'm like, okay, you've been on the market for 1 year. If you were to put everybody into an Excel spreadsheet, like how would you put them? Like what's the common denominators? And then basically we craft around that. And it's typically like 2 or 3 different sets, and it's always like one very common one uptown is sort of like it's either a young family or it's often empty nesters who maybe moved to Westchester and like want to come back, or in the city for business, someone who left during the pandemic. And so it's very easy because you're almost crafting the same apartment. Like the empty nester who is moving closer to their child because they have grandchildren, the grandchildren will often spend a night over. And I've heard people say like, we'd like one room to be a kid's room so our grandkids feel comfortable here. So I know that kid's room is going to work for whoever. But I remember recently I did a project.
Fox News on the TV. Just burned. And
I did a project on Fifth Avenue that was like a 3-bedroom apartment on paper, but it wasn't a 3-bedroom apartment that you're going to raise children in. It was like, we have our bedroom, we have a guest room, and we have a den. And so we built it out like that.
How do you? Okay, so you've established you have a shopping addiction. And to me, it sounds like you just have a bunch of character studies, and you have like items and design sensibilities that you can assign to these different characters. How do you source things for characters that are way beyond you? If that makes sense.
That's my favorite part. I mean, I think that's the fun of anything. Like anything you're doing, it's trying to understand people. And so I spend a lot of time. The first part is like observing and taking notes and paying attention. So sometimes I'm walking a property where the people live there, and this is somewhere completely out of my stratosphere. And I look at how the space is laid out, the art, the objects that they have, how they communicate to people, what they're like. And I just start to check those boxes. That aisle of books over there, I sit and I study design magazines and books, and like whether they're historical or new. I follow a ton of design. I love also set design. You can learn a lot from TV and film.
Okay.
Like I think even watching a show like Succession, when I'm approaching a property that's a little bit like that, that might be challenging and not just. You can learn from that. I mean, someone who's designing those sets is also studying those people. And so when I go out and source, and the sourcing is everything from Brimfield antique fairs, shows, estate sales. I love, I'm up late looking at auction sites. I'm looking for those pieces, but I'm looking for things that can work in that like like there's a building I'm installing this week on Fifth Avenue that they wouldn't allow me to come into the building until the person came to get me. And so like I look for something that works there, but then I'm like, but can this also work in the house in Bed-Stuy I'm doing? And so I just think a lot about that. And that's what I love about design is I think when you really come to understand and have like objectivity about objects, I don't look at something as so insular, like it only belongs here. It's the same way with fashion, right? Like you don't have to specifically be one person to dress like this. You can take bits and pieces from something and combine it in your own sort of way. But I mean, a lot of it is sort of like method and character acting.
Is there an object that you can think of now that's like specific that surprisingly works in radically different contexts?
I mean, I think like that Danny Kaplan lamp has worked in so many different places, and I love it. And it can be in, Uptown and Fifth Avenue, and it can be in a Brooklyn brownstone. It could be in a Brooklyn small apartment. Like, I just think it's a beautiful ceramic. It's a gorgeous shape. It's sculptural and artful. I like the sort of like handmade texture to it. A lot of our pieces go back and forth between so many different places. I think that's when, like you guys love clothes, like you think about like, can I wear this here? Can I wear this, to this meeting? Can I wear this to this event? Like, how does this transcend different spaces or transcend different just genres and events?
I imagine that there's a new crop of home buyers who are coming from the tech world. And let's say they're like 22. Yep. And they made a fortune by selling a company, or they're like crypto or whatever. They have notoriously bad taste. Mm-hmm. And
I like them.
You love them. Is that an
well,
easy job for you? Then you're like, they're going to be wowed by anything I do.
No, but I think it's bigger than just that. It's not just that, but there is. I think about how many things have changed over the course of the last few decades, like professionally. Like when I started working in PR, I worked in music, and that was when we would host events at the Virgin Megastore in Union Square, right? Nice. And I remember what happened when LimeWire came out. And then I remember the invention of the iPod. And so similar things are happening now where we're a culture that, to understand design, it typically was like you subscribed to Architectural Digest or Elle Decor, and it was like you were into it. But now we're just inundated, like everything from the way you look at a house to a hamburger is this perfectly stylized moment, right? Like everything is just, and it's that, but then we have instant gratification. Like I want a car, I need to go somewhere, I'm going to tap a button. I want a meal, I'm hungry, I'm going to tap a button. I want to get laid, I'm going to tap a button. And so that is also filtering into home buying. And so a lot of those people who don't have good taste walk in to see something, see it completely done, and say like, can I just buy this? And so I love that, because now it's like we can show them how to have good taste, make it easy, and like we're done.
Well, it's like you were saying before that so many people come to you for the first time and then they've never actually thought about design and how to live. And I do think like fashion isn't like that. There's music taste isn't like that. For some people from a young age think about those things, I think, and how and their taste in it. But so many people live in a home and it's just like, oh, that's the chair I'm getting because it's kind of functional.
Yeah.
And I need this station for office.
Or it could be delivered tomorrow, right? As opposed to like, do I like this? Is this comfortable? Like, it's funny, at the collector's market that we had the other day, there were these 2 antique chairs that I had that I bought a set of 12. I sold 2. A woman said to me like, oh, I'm going to use this as a desk chair. And I said like, don't buy it. And she's like, why not? And I was like, you will, like, your back will be destroyed. Like, it's straight as a board. It is the most, I was like, this chair is like a sculpture. Like, and that's, I think people just go to buy something and then realize like, oh, I don't like this. This doesn't work, as opposed to like taking some time to figure it out. And that's that nice part with like people who are now young and have money. Yeah. Like they can just come in and buy it. And we do try and make it comfortable. Like I'm buying real furniture. It's not just like cardboard like furniture with an outer pretty shell. Well, most of it, a couple of them are to save on budgets, but you know, we try and make it that it like someone just walks in, it's everything. It looks beautiful, it's functional. Right. But it's also, we spend a lot of time on like thinking about how to lay out a space.
It's very bespoke. Well, I want something a little bit more universal though. Like, what's something I can take home with me? Are there any design?
Any of those objects? Put it in your. I'll turn around, put it in your pocket, and run.
But I read that I read a piece of yours that like my home has all white walls, and you said, don't do that.
Well, no.
Not don't do that, but you consider
let me
painting
see this
a room.
quote. I don't know if I don't remember saying that. I do recall talking about how if you have a lot of space, paint something a color, like just embrace a color somewhere. Like it doesn't have to all be white. And so that's
right. So I'm curious, like, are there any other design considerations where maybe our listeners, you don't know what their homes look like, but
Yeah, most of our listeners live like shit. Okay.
I don't know about you gotta like.
Obviously, but you're
there's
designing like Fifth Avenue apartments.
There's a group of us who are like middlebrow groupies who have separate side conversations and like Facebook groups, and they're quite
groups.
An illustrious crowd of tastemakers who are
No, we have great
running
fans.
the zeitgeist.
But I'm saying, you obviously for the most part designing luxury apartments.
No, I'll take
okay.
it. Like he likes
the challenge.
I just designed a $800,000
walk-up?
1-bedroom park slope. Like I loved it. Yeah, I mean, look, I live in a 400 square foot studio apartment that took me forever to buy. Like I may do some of these spaces, but again, it's not all luxury. It's sort of like a lot of them are something that's challenging, and we try and treat them all as equally as we can. But I think the biggest takeaway that people often will ask about is like, what is something to invest in, right? Like, what are the things that aren't important to me? Like a good mattress is really important. If you're home a lot and you like to watch TV, like I don't fall in that camp, but going and testing out a sofa, like I meet so many people who tell me how they have the most uncomfortable sofa ever, and I'm
I
like,
don't get how people buy sofas online. That is insane to me.
Most
people do it.
I don't understand.
But most of these quote unquote well-designed, nice sofas that I've sat in, they're pretty uncomfortable.
No, I think
there's an inverse
I think
correlation in
those
my
are
mind.
like the two big things. It's like, hold on a second, like especially the bed, like invest in a really good, comfortable mattress. It doesn't mean it has to be expensive.
I should get the 8 sleep mattress, the one with the internal cooling system.
That sounds great.
The hospital bed one.
I'll take a
the sleep
Hostens.
number.
But I think that's something like, where am I going to put my money? And it's like, sleep is really important. And so like, that's something to invest in, whether like more than sort of like superfluous decor stuff. I think that's a huge problem now. It's like we all see these images and everyone is obsessed with like, I need this to look like this and I need to be like this person. And it's like, just take it down a notch. Like, do you have other priorities in life that you need to put your money towards? Like, yeah, we should all live well, but that doesn't mean you have to be spending money on something that's not important.
And so
My girlfriend's going to hate that advice. I'm like, this is functional, babe.
this lazy boy, it's good. It's good.
I watched a lot of TV and
She's
watch it for
okay
my
with
lazy
you
boy.
watching Heated Rivalry. But
But if someone does have like a very kind of small or dark apartment, or like, where are there, is there like, there tricks that you?
Oh, that like the dark apartment? Absolutely. It is like, it's lighter furniture. It's really good lighting. It's good light bulbs. Like you don't want it like those like blindingly white. Like you don't want to look like you live in a bodega or like the meat section
what's
of like the
what's
fairway.
Your go-to light bulb?
We actually, the hundreds of them or thousands of them probably. I don't remember the wattage, but IKEA. We buy hundreds of the IKEA warm white bulbs. They're delicious, and they're made out of plastic, so they don't break.
We're gonna learn that Jason's
we're
on
always
IKEA's
schlepping
payroll.
light bulbs everywhere. There's a bag of them right there.
Amazing. We'll take them on.
your gift bag.
bags is light bulbs. Okay, so
lighter furniture.
Yeah, so lighter furniture. Mirrors.
Yeah, over the bed, next to the bed.
Asking for a friend, what are your thoughts on jute rugs?
I clearly like them.
We're on a jute rug.
We're on a jute rug.
You like destroy. Bad for blowjobs, I would say.
Bad for what?
What? Blowjobs?
How?
You get on your knees.
Oh no! After a while, your knees just completely. Are you? So you're new. Oh, I understand. So you watched Heated Rivalry.
Yeah, I'm new.
Getting
to
down on
blowjobs.
got it. Giving blowjobs is new to you. So I would say, within about 6 to 8 months,
Yeah.
the skin in your knees will start to understand the jute. it'll react differently,
Okay.
and you'll be okay.
Okay.
But I will say the one really important thing that you need to know about this is you need to practice more.
Okay. I do.
So the more blowjobs you're giving, the better your knees will be faster.
Okay. I'm new to this. Heated Rivalry.
Yes.
Now I'm understanding why
Any
you love going to
other-
these design soirees.
And if you
Yeah,
guys have
yeah.
any other questions about gay sex, I'm happy to spend the rest of the time answering them.
That's what your PR company wants.
Somebody's gonna get a spanking, and not the fun kind.
Okay, wait. Let's keep doing the lightning round. Okay, what about
Gay sex.
small? Yeah, what about gay sex? Okay, let's say you have your space is very small and awkward. How would you make it feel bigger?
The core focus. Like, what is like? Some people in New York only have space for a bed and a chair, right? So like, you need to figure out like what is most important and how are you going to be able to function, and that like scale the furniture for that. I've seen apartments where you cannot fit much more than a bed in it.
And
And
how do you?
Jason's advice would be like, go to your manager, ask them for a promotion, hustle,
work harder.
Work harder.
Right? Like, I worked 3 jobs through college. Like,
Yeah, you're only in a 400 square foot studio.
Yeah, it's like get another job and figure it out. Yeah.
How'd you make your 400 square foot studio feel spacious and home?
So it's funny. It was the first apartment I ever had on my own was 220 square feet. I was 30 years old. I finally was able to like move away from roommates. 200 square feet. The saving grace was it had like 10-foot ceilings. And so it just felt bigger. But it was like I had a little space to the fireplace. I had like a desk that perfectly fit in there. I got a full-size bed, not a queen-size bed. The nightstand was an old file drawer on caster wheels. So like when people came over, I could turn that into like a little cocktail table. And then I didn't have room for a sofa, but I had room for like a modular, like I found the left-hand side of a piece of custom furniture that was like on sale for $500. And so that was like, instead of an 86-inch sofa, I had a 60-inch piece, right? The coffee table moved. There's a huge mirror over the mantelpiece. It made it feel bigger. And then there were little tricks. Like I had a dresser in one corner tilted on an angle, and behind that, because it was on an angle, were 4 folding chairs that I would, if I had people over for dinner, I would clear off my desk, put it in the center, and put the folding chairs around the desk.
All right.
So those are like the little tricks. Yeah.
hacks.
The shit we put up with to deal with living in New York, which the people in LA do not have to deal with. They're
No.
like, this guy's hiding folding chairs. And I'm like, I've got spare rooms and a front yard and like a swing and a window in the
But they
interior.
get to drive 2 hours, to
But we get to
hike.
sit on the subway for an hour and a half.
I
It's
love it.
all, yeah. Are you a subway rider?
Yeah.
But
As
like,
opposed
you
to what?
enjoy, I bike
Do I enjoy
everywhere.
it? I enjoyed it until I had to come here to Industry City, and and the D was just stood at a standstill for 15 minutes. But otherwise, I love the subway.
Are there any design considerations that you want to see less of? It's overdone. You're over it.
I just think like the trend thing. The trend is like, it's just, companies trying to make something popular. And typically they're things like, like millennial pink. Like my grandparents' bathroom in their house in Flushing in the 1970s was millennial pink, right? Like all
Your
these
grandparents
things.
were serving cunt?
They were girl bossing.
Norman and Goldie were not serving cunt. Norman and Goldie were serving like kishka and stuffed derma. But not cunt.
So I had Brian and I had Kishka for lunch.
May they rest in peace.
Kishka tastes like cunt a little bit.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't know.
Practice.
Oh my God. Maybe you know what?
We'll trade.
I'll get down on the jute rug and I'll try some. I'll try it for Lent. I mean, that's the stuff that I just think is like people just get on this like crazy bandwagon. It's like cottagecore, intentional clutter, and it's just like these buds were intentional. I'm like the poster child for. It's just like you like stuff. It's like everybody's rebranding everything every week. I mean, that's like something that just drives me insane, as opposed to just like trying to get people to understand design and why things are important or why something has value. And that's not necessarily like about money, but just like there's a lot of things in here that have value that cost nothing, but they're beautifully made. They're great gifts. They're like the shape and form, like someone sculpted this and it took them, 3 weeks to make this sculpture, but that 3 weeks is based on like a lifetime of studying a practice. And that I wish people would come to appreciate that more than just like this magazine said this trend is in.
Don't trends and like things become quote unquote basic because they are good and they service a lot of people? Like for instance, we can talk about like a Noguchi paper lamp, for instance, which is synonymous with a lot of people in New York, like their 20s and 30s, where they'll get it. And for the most part, it's a nice piece that elevates most spaces. And that's where I'm kind of like, so what if it's trendy? Maybe it's trendy because it is good.
It's funny. I don't view that as something that's trendy. Like, I think that is something that has been around for decades, that is just beautiful and appreciated by people, where I think something like the Fragola mirror.
Sure.
It, like, that is something I look at as like trendy. It's like, you need this. It's on every list. It's in this hotel lobby. It's like, come take a selfie here. And then it's like mass produced in a way to make it super cheap, like by, people making dupes of it. I think they're they're similar, but different. I think there are those pieces that, some of them get played out over time. Like, I remember, I think like I learned about that classic Noguchi coffee table when I was in college, and then it's like DWR came around and like blew up, and then it was like you saw it everywhere, and now it's sort of like, oh my god, if I see another fucking Noguchi coffee table.
Do you own one?
I do not actually,
okay.
And it's funny. There was one in a project where someone said you could have everything where like we don't want any of this stuff, and I gave it to the contractor.
Because you would never deploy it.
No, I would, but it's also
deploy.
I don't know what the word is.
In this
deploy. You
We're gonna strike your home with the Noguchi.
In this specific case, I knew that the contractor just got a new apartment with his girlfriend, and I wanted him to take the furniture. Right, I have enough, so it was like you take it. No,
are there icons that you design icon pieces that you use, or like
there are some, and there are some that I stay away from. Like I remember like in my 20s when I started learning about like furniture and design and was getting more and more into it, and like as DWR became popular, like I was like, oh, I want an Eames, I want an Eames lounge one day. Like I want one. Like, oh, I gotta. And now I'm just like, I think I'm good. Like there's so many. I think once you start learning and once you start looking through all these like history books and following all these different designs and going to see more contemporary pieces, there's so much that you lose that fixation of like someone said this is the chair, I have to have it. This chair represents making it, where it's like, I'm now more interested in finding like a young artist who's making something that isn't on the cover of every catalog, isn't in the window of every store, isn't in every movie that's like some version of American Psycho. Like I want something really interesting that, someone crafted.
I'm starting to believe that is a universal condition of life. Is like once you're in a place where you can afford or attain the thing that you lusted after for so long, like you don't even want it anymore at that point.
Yeah.
I think what it is, it's if you're...
It's about the journey.
Especially if it's something you want to learn about and you appreciate, you realize like, oh, this is a status symbol for a certain type of person. I'm actually interested in learning more about the design and other people and see what else is out there. And I think that's why you lose that like sort of fetish for like, this chair represents me making it, where it's like, no, this chair represents like this editor, this like, like this PR team pushed this and it became this phenomenon. Now it's like this iconic chair, but it's just like,
I don't actually like it. Or
there's so much more, like that's the thing. And that's what I've loved, where I was, sort of joking earlier about like that Nate Berkus project and, realizing where 20 years has gone. It's like, you learn so much more and you want to see more and do more and create so differently, as opposed to like, okay, this works today and this is great, I'm just going to keep doing this.
Yeah. Well, you're painting with, tougher colors.
Yeah.
Basically. And your palette is widened and it's
chartreuse,
more
pea green, and
What are do you have like go-to search terms for auctions?
Oh yeah, like brutalism, French Art Deco, brass figurine. I love hands.
Yeah. I'm starting to get into auctions a little bit, and I can't figure out Like,
oh my God, let's talk. What do you want to know?
Because I'm just like dipping my toes, and it's so, like, how do I know if the auction house is reputable? How do I know if I'm getting a good deal or if I'm getting screwed, or even know the value of, like, if I'm attracted to something of the quality? Like, I'm totally lost.
It is a little bit of like, it's like, what was that? Press Your Luck.
Yeah.
You guys, is that a reference or no? Oh.
No.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I got her. So in the 80s, there was a game show called Press Your Luck where you didn't want a whammy, and you'd be like, no whammies, stop. And you would get a whammy. So sometimes in an auction, you get a whammy. I've bought stuff where it shows up and I'm like, oh, this is junk, but it photographs well, or it looks good. And it's sort of like, okay, this is what it is. You kind of learn over time. You look for condition. You start to realize, like, in the style of means it's a dupe from the 1950s, right? Like, dupes have always been around. I think sometimes there is a bit of risk, and I've often got things that I regretted a little bit, but also just make work. And obviously it's a different use case since I'm putting them into projects. But is there something specific you like? Is it artwork? Is it furniture?
Just furniture, even, or like, is there a bid strategy that you use? Or
don't ask the guy who tried to build a business to justify a shopping addiction. I'm so the wrong person. I mean,
can I pay more? I'd like to pay more for this.
Yeah, like, there are certain things where I just know, like, I'm out. I have a ceiling for it. It depends how much we can use it. It depends how rare and special it is. For me, it also depends, like, how breakable it is. We're moving stuff all the time. And so certain things like marble, stone, concrete, I tend not to go as far for because we'll end up breaking them. Whereas certain types of metal construction, I'll spend more because I know it'll really last.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking for a like, I've decided I really want a Maralunga sofa, the Magistretti. I don't know why. And so that's what, like, I've been adding that to all my, like,
so I would say,
auction
like,
keywords, and I've looked at the history, and it seems like there's pretty wide variance in what they go for, and the quality and the color and all that. And so I'm a little overwhelmed. And then plus the shipping and, like, the buyer's premium, all this nonsense.
It's one of those things. Like, you start to realize, like, the value of something is what someone else is willing to pay for it. So I think you start to learn the guidelines, and one of the most helpful things is seeing what things have sold for and just taking a look at that. But the problem is, like, you're comparing yourself. That might be a designer who bought it for a client who said, I have no budget, right? So, like, they may have spent $15,000 for it and won because the client's like, just fucking get it, I don't care. Whereas someone else may have paid $10,000 for one, and your budget may be $5,000 for one, and you're relegated to something else. So, but I think part of it is finding, like, really good auction houses. Like Doyle's a really good one. They're a local pickup. I buy a ton off of Etsy, and there's a bunch of different, like, overseas vendors who I look at what they're collecting, and I kind of just trust them. I know that sounds like weird for someone you don't know and you've had no contact with, but when you look at everything that they have for auction, I'm like, oh, they're pulling really specific types of vintage furniture. Like, this person is curating a collection, and I at least know that they're going to have something close to what I want. And then you just start finding, you can use, like, the big, like, aggregators like Live Auctioneers, but I also just look for smaller independent ones. Like, there's one New Orleans auction house, and I've been buying a lot from them, and they have some really, like, over the top, like, neoclassical kind of stuff that I love in a really modern environment. But they also, what they're selling, you could tell that they've gone through and curated and just handpicked some stuff.
This all sounds like an impenetrable world. Like, if you're a casual, you're gonna lose.
I think yeah, totally. I think the auctions are for people who are, like, you're looking for something so hyper specific, and you're willing to make that investment. Like, if you're not, and it's not that important, you're just going to any store. You're buying off Facebook Marketplace. But I think that, like, the auctions are like graduate school, right? Like, you've, like, you've done some time professionally. Now you're ready to commit to something higher than just, like, the standard.
Well, I hope that was helpful, Dan.
You could text me late at night anytime you have an auction question.
Do you have,
or a heat of rivalry question.
I text you about a lot
about
stuff.
jute rugs,
Yeah.
anything.
I think
we're good.
I think we're great.
Are you good?
We're at time.
Anything else you want to?
No, I think
Chat
we're good. No, I'm honored you guys are here. I'm like, I've always wanted to speak with like the intellectual Beavis and Butthead.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's
Intellectual Beavis and Butthead.
That's good. We should put
I like
that.
you
that.
guys are like,
Should we trademark that?
I have. It is funny. I find that like every once in a while I'll get a text from someone that's like, "Oh, I just saw you biking and like you were laughing to yourself," and I'm like, I was listening to the Middlebrow podcast. Like, I know, like
You're already on the podcast, Jason. You don't have to butter us
no,
up.
but it really like that's why I was like, this is like I don't have like a vision board, but this was one of two things. I was like, I really want to like to be on this.
I'm experiencing it. We're firsthand experiencing how the real magic is made. We're getting buttered up.
We're
like
getting
crazy
buttered up,
right
baby.
Notice how I waited to the end. I didn't even do it at the beginning. Like that.
It's how you make them feel at the
it was
end.
a deep
I think
reach.
we were insecure. If you had told us before, we would have been cocky. All right. Well, everyone,
Jason Saft.
Check out the New Yorker piece.
Yeah.
About
spend a $1, subscribe to the New Yorker, a
You can
very
do it.
important publication.
Yeah, feed David Remnick. He's hungry. And subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah, patreon.com.
What can I ask a question?
Yeah. This is the age. This is our whammy.
What is the Patreon? I know I could look it up, but by the time I get off the bike, I move on to something else.
Brian, do you want to explain what the Patreon
What
is to the people over 40?
You're really pushing it, but I'm like, what is it?
What is it?
Yeah.
It is a way to support our podcast. We offer different subscription tiers. We, at the lowest end, we provide a weekly newsletter filled with links and things that we're reading. We give you an inside tip on who we're interviewing, so you can familiarize yourself with their work, so you can follow along with the interview.
Oh, then subscribe, because they're going to learn about me.
Exactly.
They'll learn about you, and then we offer bonus episodes on a bi-weekly basis.
For the middle tier.
Yeah.
What about
We do
like
extra episodes that you only get if you pay.
Wait. Jason's about to work his magic here.
Okay.
He's about to stage our Patreon.
Have you got no? I think we're gonna consider some alternative revenue streams. Have you ever thought of Cameo? I could see you guys like ridiculing.
No, that's where like Jeremy Piven goes after he's been canceled.
Got it.
There's a stink to Cameo.
I like it's not my world, but I could see either a Cameo or like almost like an OnlyFans where you guys like roast stuff. I think people. I gotta say, I think people want to be like roasted and humiliated a little bit.
I've definitely
like
gotten
would
that.
pay. I think
good
they
money.
would pay a
And maybe
premium
add some
for
dick
it.
pics in there. Why not?
Why not? I
Oh
mean,
my God, Brian! Jeez.
I mean, you don't have to.
Your girlfriend is like she's gonna be unhappy with that one.
I didn't know that OnlyFans could be anything
Those hip
but.
those hip exercises are really
I think there are some comedians
taking over for you.
Yeah, there are some comedians who are sometimes around.
Or
OnlyFans.
maybe you could do the hip opening exercises
Oh,
with
wow.
I want to be a birthday clown. I come over and I roast. I roast your home. So
I do think there's money in that.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
People like to be roasted.
Yeah.
But the design of a home is very personal. Is the thing. Like some people are down and some people are like I put so much time and now I have to live with this.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, you have to know. Like I think people who want their home roasted would pay you for it. I don't I think it would be dangerous if like someone else paid you to roast someone else's home.
Yeah,
They
that'd
would
be
like
cruel.
they would like kill
I'm
themselves.
down for both.
It's a trope where high finance guys like to get domed.
Yeah.
Maybe you can like corner that market a little bit.
Yeah,
Whether
I
you
can
go
think-
over and you just roast their
People have
livelihood.
a shame kink.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for
Bye,
your shame
everyone.
king.
Okay, that was Middlebrow.